The opponent probably feeling quite good about this situation, forced the final protection with a drill run, survive any one move from Ampharos and hit us with a close combat to the face. However, there's one problem, trainer. We're running ZAP cannon. Hi Pangoro, bye Pangoro. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back at it with them surprise nukes booming unsuspecting trainers in the Go Battle League. Today's battles have been submitted to the channel by none other than Kingperior, a trainer that features fairly regularly on both my channel and Callum on Toast's channel. He is up to his usual shenanigans, running all sorts of crazy spice. We've got a lead of Shadow Crobat, a Pokemon that pretty much no one uses due to the fact Air Slash is a pretty dreadful move. However, its typing and coverage is pretty interesting. We've then got Shadow Blastoise making its very first appearance here in the Open Ultra League on my channel, and rounding the team off, we've got Shadow Ampharos, a Pokemon that has received no fewer than 3 buffs this season. Brutal Swing, Trailblaze and Power Gem all cost less energy this season. With that in mind, no one's going to expect Zap Cannon. You know what time it is. We are going surprise nuking in the Open Ultra League. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, Kingperior picks up a fantastic lead due to the fact this Alolan Ninetales is running the nonsense quick move of Charm. If they were on Powder Snow, I'd favour A9 in this matchup. Kingperior opting for Cross Poison over Poison Fang. Cross Poison is 35 energy for 50 damage and comes with a 12.5% chance to give you an attack buff. Of course, most people would opt for Poison Fang. Poison Fang not a particularly good move anymore, 40 energy for 45 damage, but it does come with a 100% chance to debuff your opponent's defense. The opponent opted to pivot out into Gator and we responded with Ampharos. Ampharos able to force the opponent's final Protect Shield with the Brutal Swing. Kingperior happy with Ampharos' contribution, takes his shield advantage and sends back out Crobat. Crobat fires off the Cross Poison. Cross Poison isn't lethal, but Crobat able to Air Slash farm down afterwards. The opponent reluctant to send back out A9, send out Cresselia, and as I said previously, Crobat's coverage is fantastic. Shadow Ball gonna land for big damage and it's a charge attack priority, but trainer, this is a grass knot, and despite us being shadow and fairly low, it simply will not knock out. We then see the Simul Swap Blastoise gonna be water gunning away, spamming Hydro Cannon, and on cleanup duty in battle number 1, Hydro Cannon removes A9 from the field of play. Back out comes Cresselia. The opponent recognise the game's over and they concede the match, with Kingperior advancing to a 1-0 start. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, Crobat again picks up a fantastic lead and the opponent's even opting to stay in, perhaps core broken by Crobat. Sometimes when you're on a spicy Pokemon, people just do not know what to do against it. We tank the Night Slash, fire off the Cross Poison, my god that did a lot. Then look to absorb the next Night Slash onto Blastoise and out comes Alolan Mach. So it's pretty apparent why the opponent didn't switch out, as they've got 2 things that don't want to see Crobat. We're able to fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing a Protect Shield. Blastoise, pretty tick, even as a Shadow Pokemon, able to survive the Dark Pulse. The opponent looking for that Poison Jab farm down, but Blastoise like, nah, I'm a bulky boy. Reach the next Hydro Cannon, and the opponent 2-shield the Mach in the mid-game. Now we've managed to get all shields down. Hopefully Ampharos can land its first Zap Cannon of the video. I cannot wait. We send that Ampharos, absorb the Dark Pulse, then see the pivot back out into Crobat. Kingperior still with 2 Protect Shields, 2 high beyond, gonna respect the Dark Pulse, and we do correctly shield it up. I was almost certain we'll get baited, but luckily it's Kingperior playing and not me, as I would have looked to tank that. The opponent then sends out Gator. Gator gonna tank 2 Cross Poisons. This Cross Poison actually might be lethal. The opponent just about survived, and it looks like that was CMP. I didn't know Crobat had a higher attack than Gator, but we just found out together. Ampharos comes in, Volt Switch farms down Gator. At this point, everything's quite low. The opponent send back out Pangoro. We're going to invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Night Slash. The opponent sends out a Alolan Mach. Unfortunately, we don't see a Zap Cannon as the opponent concedes the match. GG's. If both Crobat and Feraligatr have optimal PvP IVs, Crobat has around a 157 attack, whereas Feraligatr has around 159, so Kingperior must be running a very attack-weighted Crobat, and the opponent must have been running a very optimal IV for us to be able to win that last charge attack priority. In the next battle, we see another Pangoro lead. The opponent say switches into Alolan Sandslash, and we respond with Blastoise. Blastoise looks very good at forcing Protect Shields. That oppressive water gun damage and having access to something like Hydro Cannon is something that is commanding Protect Shields left, right, and centre. A very, very interesting team from this opponent. They are weak to fighting in the front and double weak to fighting on their say switch. They then send out Tapu Bulu. Firstly, this game is so over. The opponent opts to tank the cross poison, so I'm just going to get back to what I was saying. I think if you was to run these three together, I'd personally lead Tapu Bulu as the anti-fighter and then say switch, probably Pangoro. Pangoro will be very good at baiting out not only the fighters, but also the fire types. The only real fire types you're going to see in this meta are stuff like Talonflame, which of course has a very good typing advantage against Pangoro, or even something like a Skeledirge, again, with a typing advantage due to the fact the karate chops will be double resisted. That would enable the very high risk, high reward Sandslash to hopefully roam free in the back. However, speaking of which, we land the first Zap Cannon Boom of the video, get that Pangoro off my screen, and we're going to try and do some more commentary in the next battle. A absolutely dreadful lead, Kingperior stays in, makes a very nice catch, catching the Weather Ball onto Blastoise. Our Blastoise save switch once again is met with Pangoro. My god, Kingperior is seeing Pangoro left, right and centre. The opponent fires off the Night Slash. Big bulky Blastoise laughs at that pitiful damage and returns fire with the Hydro Cannon, once again forcing us a shield advantage. We see the instant no shield deployed Kingperior once again. Happy of Blastoise's contribution. We actually save Blastoise as a potential sack swap, take advantage of the misaligned switch timer and send back out Crobat, baiting back out Aurorus, but Aurorus not going to appreciate this Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball won't be lethal, but will get him below half health. The opponent will be able to get a massive Powder Snow farm down. We're going to send back out Blastoise. The opponent makes a mistake, just insta-throw an energy. To be fair, Blastoise was probably healthy enough to survive the Powder Snows. They probably had to throw. The opponent did go for the Meteor Beam, looking to vamp up their attack. Kingperior finally going to invest a Protect Shield, and it's a good one at that, as the opponent once again full send a Meteor Beam. The opponent sends back out Pangoro. Pangoro is insanely low. We're going to fire off the Brutal Swing, which is resisted. Unfortunately, one isn't lethal. Kingperior not taking any chances. Going to fire off the next one, removing Pangoro from the field of play, and out comes Gator. If this was last season, I think this would be a loss, as Ampharos' pacing to these Brutal Swings would have been 3-2, 3-2. However, now it only costs 35 energy. We get these charge moves after 3 Volt Switches, then the next 3 come after only 2. Enabling us to shield up this Hydro Cannon. The Volt Switch will be registering, and we are going to emerge victorious. Thanks Niantic for the buff, we very much appreciate it. Heading into the next battle, the Dream Lead. The opponent says no thank you, save switch into Typhlosion, and here comes Blastoise. Blastoise, unlike Feraligatr, not too threatened by these Thunder Punches. You can see we do tank one reasonably well and not really in danger of getting incinerated farm down. Speaking of which, I think we could just fully water gun farm down, which is pretty insane. Blastoise just completely wee-wees that Typhlosion all the way down. We fire off the Ice Beam, expect the Venusaur to return, and the opponent actually absorbs the energy onto Gator where it is resisted. Sometimes the Go Battle League really isn't that complicated. This is going to be a matchup I like to call RPS for the win, baby. We hard one lead, had a very hard counter for their save switch, and we hard countered their third one as well. I have no idea why the opponent is playing this out. Perhaps hoping that Kingperior has a heart attack. Thankfully, he's alive and well, hence I'm shoutcasting these battles. Another win con, of course, would be us lagging out, which is always very, very possible because this game is absolutely trash at times. However, Kingperior not experiencing any lag whatsoever. The opponent even shield up the cross poison. Kingperior then pivots back out into Ampharos. Trainer, give it up. There really is no win con. The Brutal Swing isn't quite lethal, but we could actually survive this move. Kingperior opting to play it safe. Going to shield up the Hydro Cannon. And one more Volt Switch is going to be all she wrote. GG's. Heading into the next battle. Show me something that isn't Pangoro, please. We'll take that. Another fighter. That looks like counter as well. I think a lot of people have opted for Mudshot this season. Mudshot, of course, is the OG moveset. But I guess if you've invested in this Poliwrath and you've excelled it, people are pretty keen to still get some use out of it. In all the leagues, I think Ultra League is probably the league where Poliwrath is still the most viable. The opponent switch out into Alolan Muck. So this could be my own team of Poliwrath Double Dark Poison. Interestingly enough, this is a Snarl variant of Muck as well. I cannot remember the last time I saw a Snarl Muck. I did say in the previous battle, Kingperior wasn't getting any lag, but I put the Kiss of Death on him as we're getting a huge amount of frame drops in this battle. Come on, Kingperior. Why are we not YOLOing that Zap Cannon? As I doubt the opponent's shields. But I guess double Brutal Swing will still secure the knockout or force a protection. We do force that shield, but I really just want to see some Zap Cannon booms. This mid-game's kind of worked out pretty nice for us, despite us not getting a Zap Cannon boom, as this Muck's now in perfect farm down range for either Pokemon. We opt to send out Blastoise, commit to that water gun farm down. The opponent sends out Typhlosion. We fire off the cross poison, which of course the opponent can't shield. They need to save that final shield for a potential Hydro Cannon. Well, I say potential, they are definitely getting Hydro Cannon to the face. You can see the non-shadow variant of Typhlosion really doesn't hit hard whatsoever. That Thunder Punch did like 35%. The opponent shields the first Hydro Cannon. They're unable to reach another Thunder Punch. They get Water Gun farm down. Back out comes Poliwrath. And Blastoise going to spam out one further Hydro Cannon. And that's going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Blastoise has been a Pokemon on my build list forever. We really need to see the return of Squirtle to Grunt. So I'm really reluctant to build my really crappy IV1. Heading into the next battle, we see Crobat into the basic Bitch Tin Can Registeel. There is no shot. Did we just catch a Zap Cannon onto Ampharos? Let's go, Kingperior. What a play. What is going on with these charge moves as well? It looks like Registeel is throwing lock-ons and Volt Switches at us. Every time we throw a charge move, we see a Volt Switch hit ourselves. It is so confusing. Come on, Niantic, give your head a wobble. This is Season 20. PvP's been in the game for over 4 years, maybe even 5 years now, and this game is in a shambolic state. We've got lag, we've got frame drops, we've got one-turn bring in, and to add insult to injury, we've now got these really annoying fucking quick move, I don't even know what to call them, like glitches. I wonder if YouTube are going to demonetize this video as I drop the F-bomb, but it'll be so worth it, because I'm going to bash Niantic at any opportunity I get until this game is in a playable state. To think they try and consider this an esport is absolutely laughable. However, returning to the commentary, the opponent sends back out Registeel. Registeel going to be greeted with the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball isn't quite lethal, and we're unable to air slash farm down afterwards. Registeel, very slow and clunky, going to be forced to dump a charge move. That just enables Ampharos to come in, get the Volt Switch farm down, back out comes Giratina, but Giratina going to be straight in and straight out as Brutal Swing will be removing them from the field of play. The opponent's final Pokemon is Greninja, and we're going to see the battle of the water types. Of course, you never want to shield this first move, or even the second one, in case the opponent does get the boost. Speaking of which, the opponent does get the boost, but Blastoise grinning away, still sitting in the driver's seat here. These water guns certainly don't look resisted. Kingperior saying Blastoise survives even the boosted Hydro Cannon. We actually didn't, but he knew he was always going to sneak a Volt Switch as Ampharos returns to the field of play and were able to take that game. The opponent actually got a double boost there, so the opponent might have had a win con. If they would have actually just thrown a Water Shrieking, which is a 3-turn move, it would have registered before Ampharos' 4-turn Volt Switch. If we was in one double boosted Water Shrieking range, they would have emerged victorious, but instead they opted to throw a charge move for no reason whatsoever as we had a shield remaining, but it is what it is, heading into the next battle. Kingperior picked up a fantastic lead. We saw Clefable staring at our Crobat. The opponent say switched into Gator and we responded with Ampharos. It's quite clear to see why Gator is like #1 on PvPoke currently, as even in type disadvantaged matchups, it puts in so much work. Kingperior goes for an aggressive wham bam combo play, fires off the cross poison at Clefable, and this opponent is running ABA Fairy, so Crobat is now absolutely feasting. Oh boy, to add insult to injury, we get the boost, which is only a 12.5% chance. We shield up the Brutal Swing. This can only be a Brutal Swing. This boosted cross poison is going to do so much damage. We actually opt not to throw it, banking it for the end game. I don't dislike that play, as we will be winning CMP against Clefable. We fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing does secure the knockout. It's now Clefable versus the world. This cross poison will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and Blastoise is just going to clean up. This will be a good test of Blastoise's bulk. I know the regular variant is really bulky. I'm guessing this Moonblast is going to do like 55-60%. But it certainly won't put us into swift range. You can see Blastoise easily withstands the damage, is able to outpace to the Hydro Cannon, and that is going to be all she wrote of Blastoise, picking up another knockout. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Crobat into Guzzlord. Very nice to see it here, as our backline doesn't really want to see this. Of course, Blastoise could potentially Ice Beam it, but the water guns would be resisted. We fire off the cross poison, getting some very valuable chip damage onto Guzzlord. Guzzlord going to return fire with the Brutal Swing. You can see Crobat, a very glassy Pokemon that did far too much damage. Crobat able to reach another cross poison, but the opponent likely shield this just to align himself correctly in the back. The opponent does indeed invest that Protect Shield, and this Guzzlord's in a really awkward health range. We could potentially one shield and look to water gun farm down. Let's see if that's what Kingperior looks to do. Nope, it looks like we're just going to tank the damage. We then see the aggressive pivot into Ampharos. This is still going to be a very difficult Volt Switch farm down. This Guzzlord is literally running for our team. Finally, we see a Protect Shield deployed. We're able to get the resisted Volt Switch farm down, removing Guzzlord from the field of play. Out comes Skeletor's trainer. It's just a brutal swing. There's the boom. Holy cow, that did so much damage. The opponent's final Pokemon is for Alligator, and from a really rough spot, Kingperior back in the driver's seat. Brutal swing forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent opts to throw a charge move. We've got a shield remaining. We've now received the energy for the Brutal Swing. I don't think this Brutal Swing will quite be lethal. Can Kingperior still pull off the victory? Kingperior switches out into Blastoise. Blastoise gets the Water Gun snipe, and we're able to take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see a pretty good lead for us. We just got to be mindful the opponent does have access to Stone Edge. Kingperior opts to stay in. Doesn't build up to the Shadow Ball. The question is, does the opponent know the Air Slash counts? Cross Poison, goes unshielded. We then see the pivot into Ampharos, and out comes Hippowdon. We might actually force a shield here, as most Ampharos will be running Trailblaze. However, the opponent shows huge go-owners like, if you've got it, throw it. Unfortunately, we don't have it, so we didn't throw it. The opponent not messing around, fire off the Scorching Sands, removing us from the field of play, and out comes Blastoise. Holy cow, look at this water gun damage. Shadow Pokemon with access to a one-turn quick move are so oppressive. We look for that water gun farm down, which we're unable to get. The opponent fires off the Rock-type Weather Ball. It looks like we put all our hopes and dreams on a two-shielded Crobat, and we now find ourselves in the bait game. Back out comes Cobalion. That's so rough. The opponent's Sacred Sword bait us. This could also be a Stone Edge. Okay, we correctly shot the Stone Edge, but how do we strip these shields of this opponent? I think if the opponent call this bait, this is GG's. Cross Poison goes unshielded. Oh boy. That insult to injury. The opponent catches onto Donphan. Oh man, this is game over. Although in fairness, Donphan is kind of forced to go for body slams here, as Trailblaze will be resisted, and even if they've got Earthquake or Play Rough, that would also be resisted. No shot. Have we got the boost gone? No! We're actually going to get out gel free card. I think we can just air slash farm down everything. I personally would have just went for the fast move beatdown. We fire off the Cross Poison, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent unable to double kick farm down, and we pick up a very unlikely win. But that is sometimes how GBL goes. You need a little bit of luck, and that certainly was what you'd like to call a boost win con. And unfortunately, that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. A huge shout out to Kingperior for bringing us a very spicy battle submission in the Open Ultra League. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.